everybody. Welcome to the Blind Spot Project. And this is the show where we talk about a popular movie, a well regarded movie, a critically praised movie that we haven't seen. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Today, we are getting in the driver's seat because we are talking about 2013's Rush. And then we're also going to talk about F1, which is the new film that just was released this weekend into theaters. And I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Amanda's here.
Heyo, happy to be back.
Yes, how's it going?
Good, good. We have summer weather over here in
Yeah.
Toronto, so I'm really happy about that finally.
My we've been having really crazy weather here too. We had this insane windstorm
Ooh.
where I was at a community theater production of Henry V, and it was wild. Like it was so loud and so windy, and they just like this. There's this really famous speech in Henry V called the Saint Crispin speech,
Hmm.
and he gets up there you felt like it was like a victory against, like a call against nature. Like, oh,
That's amazing timing. That's
it
just
was
great.
really amazing. It was really crazy. But I've been like, say a prayer for my poor, sad air conditioning unit because it's
No,
loud, it's hanging on for dear life, and I'm just like, please give me one more year because I cannot afford to replace it.
that's nuts. Fingers
Oh,
crossed. Fingers
yes,
crossed.
please.
Yeah.
Uh, prayers to the air conditioning gods, utility, appliance,
Utilities,
appliance
everyone,
god, please,
appliance gods.
please be nice. But but yeah, so you enjoying? Has it been a pretty fun summer of movies for you so far? Or what do you think?
Um, I think it's been decent because I haven't really liked anything since Sinners, realist or like
Yeah.
Thunderbolts. I stand corrected. Like all these films, like
Mhm.
most anticipated for me, like Mission Impossible was a big one, and I was
Yeah,
very
that was a big
underwhelmed by
letdown.
it.
Yeah.
Like even in horror, like Bring Her Back 28 years later, like I've been so underwhelmed with these films, and it's like I don't know what's happening. Maybe it's just me. I'm in a mood.
Hmm.
I have no idea, but like I feel so bad that I've been giving it like majority of them maybe like a 3, like
Yeah.
2.5 leaning, which sucks. So I'm hoping it picks up. I really am.
Yeah.
Because July is heavy. Like it's heavy. And if those films don't do well, it's going to be very interesting summer.
Yeah, I really do feel like Superman and Fantastic Four. Those are such wild cards. Like if those two are
Yeah.
good, it will be so exciting. And because I've liked quite a bit. I haven't. There's not been that much that I have loved.
Yeah.
Like
I've noticed your scores too, Rachel. They
yeah, a
haven't
lot of.
been like
But like compared to last year, there's been more stuff that I've been like, it was fine. It was good.
Yeah.
Like it's okay. Um, there were a few things I liked more than most. I liked Karate Kid Legends more than most.
Hmm.
It wasn't like a masterpiece, but I enjoyed it well enough. I agree with you. I like Megan 2.0 more than most. I thought it was campy and silly and
Fair.
fun, but again, not a masterpiece. Anyway, we could talk. I think the big surprise for me this summer is Final Destination Bloodlines.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah,
Shoot. Okay, yeah, yeah. I feel
because
like I forgot about it because everything else has been like
yeah.
like underwhelming that one doesn't even feel
Oh,
like it came out.
and yes, and the other one that was a big surprise. It's unfortunately just on Netflix, but K-pop Demon Hunters. You got to see it. Trust me.
Wow.
I have yet to find anybody who didn't like it.
Really? That's
Yes.
interesting.
So you could be an outlier, but like it's done by the same people who did Spider-Verse. It has like super fun songs.
Oh my
It's
God.
it's incredibly animated. It's super fun. The characters are fun. And it makes me sad because it would have been so much fun to watch on the big screen with a crowd,
Oh, I
everybody
hate when
into
that
it, everybody
happens.
vibing it, like it would have been
Yeah,
a great movie to watch on the big screen, but alas, it's just on Netflix. But it
I know.
was quite good. It's been a pretty good summer for Hallmark. If people are looking for an actual rom-com instead of what the studios are giving us, there were especially there was series two movies, To Barcelona Forever and To Barcelona with Love. Charming, funny, sweet, like just really excellent Hallmark movies.
Not Materialist,
Not
which
materialist.
is in
No,
like my top five of the year right now. So
no,
this is hilarious.
no. The bubbly rom com love triangle with your sexual assault. You know what? Like,
Yeah. See,
oh,
okay, I have two. The Life of Chuck and Materialist are the two that
yeah,
I did really enjoy. But they
yes,
don't feel like I think why I said that I was underwhelmed by some is like I'm strictly thinking blockbusters, but
mm,
I'm not thinking of like other studio films in that case. I think that's
mm,
why it was
yeah,
like the smaller films, the indies are doing extremely well, I think.
yeah.
But blockbusters for me, I'm like, this is what we're getting. Like,
Yeah, it's
okay.
true. I mean, I did love F1. We'll dive into it,
Sorry.
but other than that, yeah, I mean, it hasn't been too exciting. So,
Are you a fan of Rachel's reviews? Do you look forward to Family Movie Night, Female Film Critics panels, or the Talking Disney podcast? If so, please consider supporting the podcast by becoming a Patreon. As a patron, you get to access monthly events such as the watch-alongs and Q&As, where you get to talk to stars and find out the behind the scenes of the movie making industry. And you can pick what I review for Family Movie Night or even become a guest on the podcast. Podcasts and YouTube channels are expensive, and I really, really could use your help. I would so appreciate it. You also get to be a member of the Facebook group where we talk about all the films that we're seeing, and we have so much fun. Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies and select one of the Rachel's fan tiers. That's patreon.com/hallmarkies.
all right, well, let's talk about F1 because we definitely had different feelings about it. I think that's going to be fun to dive into. Uh, so this was directed by Joseph Kosinski and it stars Brad Pitt and Damson Idris, and it's it is a pretty simple movie about this retired race car driver who's recruited to come back into the fold for this team to race in the Grand Prix, the Formula One, and he is put in with this young, hot-headed race car driver who's really concerned about social media and appearances and whatever. And of course, your seasoned pro. He's above all of that. He doesn't care. He just wants to win,
Yeah.
and then they race. It's a racing movie, and I guess the reason why in my opinion, I think this works so well is that I think that it 100% embraces the tropes and formula of an underdog sports movie. It sets up Brad Pitt's character as a clear underdog in every way. He's had this disappointing past. He is just like slumming it out in all of these races and literally at like the like racing at the beach and just stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so he is an underdog in like every sense of the word. Even his body, is like it's harder for him to do it. It's harder for him to be a race car driver. But uh and so and then it's really about the racing, and it all builds up like a good sports movie should. It builds up to the climactic race and the challenges that he faces along the way, so that when he gets up to that final race, it's like, yeah, and I think that the racing is done so well and it's so visceral, so real. And I guess for me, like, I think that I really enjoy formula filmmaking. in the sense of that some people will say, oh, like a Hallmark movie, oh, it's predictable. We know exactly what's going to happen. Yes, but in a way, I think that that's actually like really nice because you can just enjoy the performances and you enjoy the ride. Like the predictability is actually kind of an asset to when it's done
Yeah.
right. When a formula film is done right, it's actually
Yes.
kind of like comfort food. It's actually be like, oh, there it is. There's the next thing I was waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
And to me, the movie actually doesn't get too in the weeds with all the other stuff. Like I really didn't care that much about what was happening with the young racer. I mean it was sort of fun. His mom, like she was good. I liked her. But I
Mhm.
really didn't care that much. But I felt like the movie didn't care that much about it. Like it was about the race and it was just like whatever they needed to do to get you to that point where he's the underdog, he's in the driver, you're in the driver's seat with him, and oh man, he pulled it off, and that's exciting. And you cheer, and so I think that that's what they did that was so smart is that they just embraced the formula of it all. They embraced the underdog sports movie of it all, and to me that was really fun, and so that's why I enjoyed it so much, and I just walked out being like, yes, it was a great time, and I was seriously like I felt like I was like glowing because I just had so much fun with the experience when I got in the
Aw.
car. I was like, yes, that's what a movie's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you happy and cheer for your hero, and he won, and it was an underdog. And I am like a huge sucker for underdog sports movies. I love I'm I like underdog sports movies that almost nobody likes. I just really like the genre,
Aw.
and that is it almost always works for me. I really do. Love that whole sort of experience of rooting for the underdog and then seeing them call out and be like, yes, you did it. And I just thought also just technically as far as the racing was so visceral, so fun on IMAX. The racing scenes were really good. So that's why I liked it. And I know that you had a very different experience, but like, so I guess I'll hand the microphone over to you.
I felt the complete opposite of what you just said. And the thing is, for me, here's the problem. I agree that formula filmmaking, if it's done right, it works wonders. That's why,
Mhm.
like, we watch rom-coms all the time. You're looking
Yeah.
for key conventions. You're looking for, the chemistry is really important, the depth to these characters, their connection to each other, the emotional resonance of the story as well. But here with F1, I felt absolutely nothing
Uh-huh.
because these two characters, you have Brad Pitt and Damson Idris, you don't have enough time with them together. And I feel like they didn't have enough time to grow into this, like, this duo going back and forth with the banter because I actually liked the two races in the middle where they
Uh-huh.
were actually like feeding off of each other and Damson Idris kind of understood the way that, Sunny was driving. And I think them working off of each other I was like, oh, I'm intrigued. Like I think that learning from each other is really important. But we got little tidbits of that. I would have just preferred to have a bit more depth to both characters and then the relationship with one another. I think that's what
Mm-hmm.
was lacking for me. It was very simple story, and I think it wasn't giving much of like any form of like personality. I think I needed more personality from like Sunny, like from Brad Pitt, who I think just gave an okay performance. And I feel like Damson delivered a bit more than Brad Pitt, but had less to work with in the time, like with the character.
Uh-huh.
The races also kind of felt like it's the same like edits half the time,
Hmm.
because there's only so many angles you can do with the car racing in
Yeah.
comparison to like a Top Gun Maverick where you can have dogfights in the middle of the air and it'll be completely different scenarios, flying versus driving. So I
Mhm.
don't know, I wanted to like it. Everyone was hyping it, everyone loved it, but for me, I was waiting for it to be over.
Yeah.
Like the pacing wasn't the strongest either for me. It took a long time for them to get to that conclusion. And even when they did, I was like, okay. I was like, I guess that's good. Like, good job, buddy, for like winning. Like, I get that. It's just, I feel like
Hmm.
the heartfelt stuff, in order to have like a true underdog story where it would have pulled at my heartstrings, it was just lacking there for me.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that if they had spent any more time on the character stuff, I just think that would have made the pacing even harder. If anything, I guess I would have had them take out some of the younger character development because that was I was less interested in that. Like I said, like
Yeah.
his you could have had like little moments with his mom
Mm.
or or something like that. Like because I liked her, she was good. I liked her in Ted Lasso a lot. It was fun to
She's
see her.
so sweet.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
fun to see her in this. And I thought they had like just enough of Brad Pitt with Carrie Condon. I thought that was like a fun
Yeah.
little like I didn't need that to be some like dramatic relationship. Just like a
I
cute
felt,
little.
yeah, like a
I feel like
fling.
that was very similar to the Jennifer Connelly.
It was,
Cruise.
but again, like I feel like that was more forced, like Carrie Condon, Brad Pitt, than Jennifer Connelly, Tom Cruise. Because I don't know what, like if we are obviously comparing because Kaczynski made
I
both of
mean,
them, but it's, I don't know.
the movies are very similar. I
They
think. I
are.
mean, except for in one case you have in a jet, in one case you have it
Yeah.
in a car.
Yeah.
I think that Top Gun Maverick is the superior film, partly because
Yeah.
when you have that kind of patriotism involved, it just like adds, it kind of takes things to like another
It
level.
hits. Yeah.
But also, I do think the supporting cast was stronger.
Hmm.
Like a Miles Teller, Glenn Powell,
Yeah.
some of these things was stronger. But I just found both to be like super entertaining, like very fun.
I think for me it's such a high bar because like
Yeah, that's fair.
because I love Top Gun. Like I love it so much. And I'm a huge fan of like Days of Thunder as
Mhm.
well. And I do think that like Kaczynski wanted that dual Tony Scott sauce to like hit with a Top Gun and then like a Days of Thunder right after. And it just, for me
Oh,
personally, it didn't hit that tandem of what could have been. But it's kind of
mhm.
like his Days of Thunder would be F1 to his Top Gun Maverick, which would be Top Gun for Tony Scott. So I was like, oh, this is
Oh yeah, that's
interesting.
interesting comparison.
Yeah, I was like, oh
Yeah,
wow, you guys are doing the same here. So
I haven't seen Days of Thunder in a long, long time, so I mean, I have to check that. I forgot that
man,
he
do
did
it.
both of those. That those were both the same director too.
He's
That's
fire.
interesting.
Love him.
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because there have been a lot of racing movies over the years.
Hmm.
In just there was Gran Turismo. Just was that last year?
Yeah, I think last year, the year
Or was the year
before.
before?
Yeah, that was actually
Which
pretty fun.
yeah, in 2023, so it's 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed Gran Turismo. I thought, like I said, I mean, I like almost all underdog sports movies. It's pretty hard to screw it up,
yeah,
for me. You keep the
it's true.
characters likable enough. You give me that like emotional, like big fun end. I mean, I'm probably gonna be. I like Ford v Ferrari a lot. That
Oh, I'm
was
so
really
happy you said
good.
that. I thought we were
Yeah.
gonna have to have some words, Rachel, if
No,
you didn't like Ford v
I
Ferrari.
I love Ford v
That
Ferrari.
that one, the best racing film in the past like decade, I would say, is Ford v Ferrari. Like
Yeah,
I love that movie so much. I really do.
I think that Catriona Balfe should have been nominated for Best Supporting
I
Actress
agree. She
for
was
that
so
movie. She
good.
was so good in that movie, and
Loved it.
yeah, and really making a big difference in like a supporting role. Yeah, I
Yeah.
I really I really enjoyed that movie. So it's an easy uh it's an easy genre for me. I admit it. But yeah, I think the one that was so disappointing to me of recent that I guess has this might be considered a racing movie was just the Ferrari movie with Adam Driver.
I forgot that
Terrible.
came out.
That
Oh
was
my God.
terrible.
Michael Mann, my dude.
Terrible racing, terrible writing. It
The
was
writing was the problem.
so
Yeah.
soapy, so terrible. Even like I didn't think the visual effects looked that good. It looked a little like
Mm-mm.
it was
I agree.
bad. It was
It
bad.
was that one was really slow. I had a
Like
10 a.m. screening for that one, and I was like, oh, this is dragging. Like it's dragging.
terrible. I mean, it was really I enjoy like a soap opera when it's
Mm,
done right, when they lean into the camp. But
yeah.
this wasn't even that. It was just like taking it all kind of seriously, like these really soapy plot. And
It was
it was
so bad.
bad. Like
Yeah.
Adam Driver, man, what is happening? I mean, Megalopolis, are you kidding me right now? House of Gucci? Oh.
We don't talk about House of Gucci. As an Italian, we do not talk about House of Gucci. We do not. Like, I'll tell you like a quick story. So I went to go watch it like 1 p.m. on a Sunday, House of Gucci, because I'm like, I have to, or a Saturday, my day off,
Yeah.
whatever. So I went, and then it was 15 minutes in or half an hour into the movie, the power goes out in this theater. So I looked up and like my ancestors do not agree with me watching this movie.
Well, that's so
Like,
crazy because the same that I didn't know that, but I had the same thing happen to me. I was House of Gucci with like 30 minutes left. There was a fire alarm went off and we got
no way.
evacuated.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Guys, this movie's not good. Like, you guys got to get out of here or get like
I
compensated
I've
for struggling. Like,
I've only had that happen two other times. I've been evacuated from the theater. One was House of Gucci. The second one was watching the movie Room, with Brie Larson. And
oh,
like it was right when the kid jumps into the truck, like
oh my
this
God.
really climactic. And I had read the book, so I knew what was it going to be happening.
Mm,
But still, I was so wound up, and I didn't even realize how wound up I was until all of a sudden it's just stopped, and my heart is racing.
my
Just being
God.
cut off, like that. It was
The
kind of crazy.
anticipation. Yeah,
Yeah. And
that's
then the
nuts.
other time it happened was actually watching the first original Avatar.
Oh,
Evacuated.
that's terrible, especially with Avatar. Like,
Yeah.
imagine getting to like the 3 hour mark and you're like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? 2:45, fire alarm goes off. Damn it.
Hey, this is David from the Piecing It Together podcast, a podcast about movies and the movies that inspire them. For over 4 years, each week, a guest and I take a look at a new movie through the lens of what other movies we think were either an influence or connect in some other way. It's a fun, unique way to discuss films that leads to a great list of other movies to check out that either explore the same themes and ideas or maybe utilize similar filmmaking techniques. Including special episodes in our side series that twist the format, we've done over 200 episodes, so there's bound to be one on a film you've been thinking about and want to dig deeper into. So check us out on all the major podcasting apps and at piecingpod.com.
With F1 is it's just like, do you embrace the underdog sports moviness of it, or do you not? Does it work for you or does it not? Like,
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to. Like, and I totally did. I totally bought it. I had a great time with it, and it didn't work for you, and that's okay.
Yeah, I feel bad, but like I really wanted to like it. I also think like I don't know why I feel this way, but I have a thing with like Brad Pitt now on the big screen is that like
Uh-huh.
he doesn't do it for me anymore. Like I
Uh-huh.
loved him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I thought he was really good in Babylon. I enjoyed Ad
Girl,
Astra.
Babylon. Well, I
I
mean,
like I
see,
don't know.
that's also probably a little bit a uh a demonstration of our difference in ages a little bit,
Hmm.
because like you're a lot younger than me, and like I think if I don't know if I would say he's getting more charming, but like as
Interesting.
far as his like sex appeal, on screen, because when he was first starting, I didn't really get it, like the long hair,
Interesting.
that whole thing. That's not for me. Like when he was doing like like Interview with a Vampire, and I can't remember what that cowboy movie he was in with the long hair.
Legends of the Fall?
Yes, Legends
Oh
of the
yeah.
Fall.
My mom went nuts.
I'm not saying bad film, but just doesn't get me super
Yeah.
excited like in
Yeah.
that way. But him like grinding it out and being like, living in his van and like whatever, like
You're like, damn.
yeah, more for me than young
Then young
Brad
Brad. That's
Pitt. Yes,
interesting.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
interesting. That's fair. I get it.
yeah. I also thought Javier Bardem was so charming in this.
So good.
One of the best I've seen from him in a long time.
I was like, thank goodness you were in this
Yeah.
movie. You breathed life into
He
something. I
he
liked him a
was
lot.
so good.
Yeah.
I really, really liked him. And I mean that's basically it's Tobias Menzies. I love him. I'm a big fan of his. He was the sort of the slight villain
Yeah.
to the
See,
thing.
that was also underdeveloped for me. Like it
Yeah.
was just a 5 second throwaway, like you're gonna come on my team. And it's like, okay,
I can
where's
see
this
that.
plan coming from? But all right.
I felt like they did like just enough. Like I admitted they did do sort of the bare minimum, but I was
Yeah,
fine with that because I wanted to get back to the racing
which
and
is
the,
fair. Yeah,
you
you're there
know.
to watch them race. So I totally get that. I do.
And I'm sure that like true F1 fans, Formula fans would be like caught up in the weeds of it all, of like
For
all the
sure.
supposed strategy of like how to win and stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that like you can't be like closing up the races, it's like your main strategy. And some of the things they were doing, I'm sure is a little bit shady, but I don't, I don't care about it. So I literally know like nothing about
Oh no,
formula
I
racing
don't
at
either.
all. And so I wasn't distracted by those kind of details, which is totally fair. If like you're
Yeah.
into something, I get that. But it's kind of like if I watch a movie about podcasting, then I'm like, oh, like
You're like,
usually
why though?
usually if Hallmark makes a movie about podcasters, there's like a sense of villainy, sort of like usually podcasters are sort of portrayed in Hallmark movies, especially the mysteries, is as some kind of like gossipy concept. Like, oh, you can't trust them. They're gossips. They're a
That's
podcaster. Don't go on the
like they like
podcast.
to talk,
Yeah.
don't do that. You don't know what's gonna come out of their
Yeah.
mouths. That's funny.
But anyway, so yeah, I gave F1 a very, very high score because I just was so happy. It was like it was the best blockbuster that I have seen as far as, to me, overall entertainment that I've seen since Wicked.
That makes sense actually.
Yeah, for me. And
Yeah.
and so I mean, last year, I think in my top 50, I think I only had 3 movies that had a budget of more than $50 million.
I
Like
remember you saying that. Yeah.
blockbusters were just not doing it for me last year.
Not
So,
it last year. Yeah,
because
which is
I think I
crazy.
had in that top 50 list, I had Wicked, I had Nosferatu, which had a budget of 50 million, so barely
So
made that
good.
cut. That was really good. And I had Inside Out 2 and The Wild Robot. So I had 4.
Damn.
Yeah.
I remember.
The best. Not the
I
best.
know. They didn't do well last year.
So we'll be curious what you think of F1 the movie. Did it entertain you? Did you like it? Were you underwhelmed? Let us know in the comment section.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, carry from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies.
Let's talk about Rush. So that was our blind spot pick for this month. And I this is just one of those movies that just kind of came and went and I just missed it. Like,
Yeah, same.
for no good reason. I just,
Because like even with this, Hemsworth was on the top of his game, like when Rush came out, and Daniel Brühl just like stepped on the scene and became like I guess famous off of this because his performance as Niki Lauda
This?
was really good. He had another one though.
This and of course in the MCU.
Yeah, no, he was in something else.
Well, I forget his character in MCU.
Oh, he was Baron Zemo in the
Zemo,
MCU.
Zemo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just like they picked.
I think that's what people know him the most for.
Oh, absolutely. But it was just, this was interesting because Brühl was like fantastic in Rush.
Yeah.
Like he was the main reason why I was like hooked on it. But I even remember they had the premiere at TIFF. And
So had you seen this before?
no, I didn't watch it.
Okay,
I'd never seen it. Because I just saw the trailer. I was like, okay, cool. Like I just didn't care.
Yeah.
And my dad went to the premiere, like the red carpet, and they actually had like Ron Howard, Chris Hemsworth, and Daniel Brühl roll up in McLarens, on the red carpet. So my dad was like freaking out. And to this day, he's like, I saw the McLarens and like I saw Ron Howard. I was like, yeah, I know. Like it's really cool how that happened, but then never watched the movie.
Did your dad see F1?
He didn't watch F1 yet.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is that like he knows the history of it, but he was never like a diehard F1 fan. He just loves like the history of it, the historical
My
figures.
dad would absolutely love F1. Like,
yeah,
a lot of people said, "Oh, it's like a dad movie," and that's fair. I mean,
definitely a dad movie.
Yeah,
for sure.
But it's interesting because I thought, oh, well, let's talk about these two movies. Because it seemed like, I mean, they're obviously both about the F1, and so it would make sense, but they're actually quite different.
So different.
Yeah.
Like actually, yeah.
Pretty much in almost every way. Like I would not describe Rush as a underdog sports movie.
No. This is flat out like sports biopic. Like flat out
sports biopic rivalry, like rivalry picture.
Yeah.
I would just kind of describe it as a flat out drama.
Absolutely. I agree with you there. Yeah.
Because not that much time is spent actually racing.
It's not. You're right. It's a lot of like back and forth between like, I guess, the logistics of racing within F1. So
and there's no sense of like build up to the big race
there
like
isn't.
F1, where it's like piece by piece by piece, and there's no sense of like I'm training for the big race, that kind of a thing. It's just not that kind of structure to the screenplay.
No, and I do think that, like they just hit the marks of the timeline for Niki Lauda and everything that happened to him. I think it was like going through the motions, and then when the accident happens to him in the middle of like the film, you're like, I was taken aback because I didn't know the story. Like whatever, I went in like completely blind into this blind spot, and I was just like, oh, okay. And that's when I really loved Daniel Brühl's character. Or else like there's really nothing much because you don't even see them racing. You see them winning like the Prix ahead of time. Like, that's all you see.
Yeah, you really don't see them racing much at all. No. Like that's not, and a lot of the scenes of them racing are people watching screens of them racing,
yes,
as opposed to them actually being with them in the driver's seat.
It was interesting. There was different like angles too. Like I know that Ron Howard used like a lot of mirrors like mirror shots within the car. I noticed that too, which was really cool because you got into like their, I guess, in their head and like their
Mhm.
perspective racing. Or else I did find it cool that, and an interesting choice to watch them
Yeah.
like hear it and like watching it on the
Yeah.
screen.
I think one of the hard parts about making a racing movie work is that they're going very, very fast, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But so giving the viewer that sense of scope about what is actually happening in the race is hard because it's like how how do you balance those overhead shots so people can actually see what is happening
Mm-hmm.
with the different drivers versus staying there in with your driver? Then you don't get, when you're with the driver, you don't get a sense of what's happening really in the race. And I
Yeah.
do think F1, I thought they did that very, very well about like capturing the actual race itself of like, of okay, here's the strategy, here's what I'm going to be doing, here's why I am like intentionally crashing to stop the race at this point, like gave you a
Yeah.
sense of kind of what is happening in this race. Whereas this, because it wasn't really about the race and it wasn't really
Yeah.
a sports movie, it
Yeah.
was about these two people and their rivalry, that was less important. So they could have shots of people just sort of watching on television, things like that, as opposed to it being really about the athletic event.
It's true because it's more so about who the driver was. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the difference with Rush, where like you know who James Hunt was, you know who Nicky Lauda was, you know who
Mm-hmm.
these drivers are. So it comes down to the point of like how much can you sell the name versus like selling the car in the race, which is something that
Yeah.
F1 also, I think I will give it a point to that because everyone knew who Sonny was. Like they made it a point to
Yeah.
like know who the driver was, but it's just like how much they impact, how much the world impacts them, like in within the racing world.
Yeah.
That's what I thought
Yeah.
that Rush
I
did
mean,
well.
I do think that like the character development is probably better in Rush, but I guess
Yeah,
I wasn't really like in the mood for like that kind of movie. Like I wanted
I agree.
something that was more like
Fun.
fun
Yeah.
and and so I would always pick F1 because like I mean I guess you just have to have the correct information of like what you're sitting
Mm.
down to,
Yeah,
you know, and because that
that's
makes a
true.
big difference. But I mean I enjoyed both, but I just think as an underdog sports movie, as a fun piece of sort of pop entertainment, I think
Yeah.
F1's much more successful. I think if you're wanting more of a character study, then
Yeah.
then I get it, watching. But I kind of feel like, I don't know, like, how do I explain this? Like you can say, so like in a Hallmark movie,
Mm.
they often have what we call the bad man of business. It's the usually the ex-boyfriend who's like a jerk, and it's an archetype that you don't need for the functions of that kind of romantic comedy. You do not need to waste any time on that character. We just need to know character bad, not the person she's supposed to be with,
Yeah.
right? And so if somebody could make the claim, oh, that's like a very weakly developed character, and I'm like, absolutely, that's because that's the movie it is. Like it needs to be like that would be a waste of time for the
Yeah,
screenplay.
because you know the conventions.
Well, it would be a waste of time to spend any effort on that character. That character is just a stand-in to move the plot along to what's
Hmm.
happening, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's basically the case with F1, but it's an underdog sports movie. Like I really didn't need a lot more time spent on like the girlfriend or some of these other characters,
Hmm.
just sort of like there to serve their purpose, but it's all about the race and the underdog. I don't know
Yeah.
if that makes sense,
I
but
no, it makes sense because like I think the perfect example to kind of like even tell people what had the most perfect balance of this would be Ford v Ferrari. Because I do
Yeah.
think that you had very well developed characters. You had incredible chemistry between like Christian Bale and Matt Damon. That back and forth like was so rich. And it's just a well written script. And
Yeah.
then the racing was like phenomenal, like in that as well. So I think that
That's
is
true.
it's the perfect balance between the two of like countering like Rush and then F1. It's really cool that we have this one
Mhm.
film that brings it together like so effortlessly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so in this movie, in Rush, you have these two drivers, and it is based on a true story. And you have James Hunt, and you have Lauda, what's his first? Nicky Lauda,
Hmm.
that are rivals going back and forth. It is 1970, the Formula 3, the Formula circuit, and they started their rivalry at Formula 3 race in London. And then it follows them through the course of their careers. And one of the tricky things about this is that you don't really have, because of what actually happened, there's not like the big payoff of like, of the big race that they won, and a very exciting, like Ford v Ferrari, even though he didn't get the credit for, he still came in first, at the end. And so
Yeah.
there's like a sense of like, yeah, whereas this, like, he wins, but it's in the rain, it's in this, and it's kind of like, and then he quits because he's having so much fun. And
Yeah.
Lauda's like, why did you quit? And Hunt's like, why wouldn't I quit then? Like, when I'm having a great time. Like, so there's in that, again, it's not really an underdog sports movie because there isn't that sense of like payoff for,
No.
that you kind of need, even if they end up losing like the original Rocky, like you still have like a sense of payoff of victory for the character. And this is kind of like, oh, and then he died young. Like, it's kind of like, oh, it doesn't have
It's like,
it,
okay.
it just doesn't fit this kind of formula, which some
Mhm.
people would say is to its benefit, but like it's not as fun.
No, it's not. It's very tough to watch too, especially the Niki Lauda post accident, like him in the hospital and all of that. I was like, oh, we're
Yeah.
pivoting so hard tonally
Yeah.
right now, and
Yeah.
that was such like a like kind of like a nauseating turn afterwards. And even him trying to like get back into the race and all of that, I was like, oh my God, you're doing this. Which again, like it's great underdog because he did that and he's a champ, Niki Lauda, but it's like, oh, tonally
Yeah.
it's
I
just
also
different.
could have, like, I didn't care at all about either of the relationships.
Nothing. I felt nothing for them either.
Yeah, I could have had those removed. That they did really nothing, because like Hunt, he gets married to this woman, but he doesn't really love her. He just kind of wants to be married to a supermodel, and so of course things don't go well.
Yeah.
And then Lauda, he gets married. It's a much sweeter, more encouraging relationship, which is nice. But
Yeah. It's just those are like those films remind me of like, okay, that's the throwaway girlfriend and like that's the
yeah,
throwaway
yeah.
wife. It's like, why am I
Which
supposed to
is
care?
fine, but they spend a lot of time with it,
That's the thing. Like if it's done well, then I'm not going to be complaining about it,
Yeah,
right? So I get that.
yeah. We're like we said at Ford v Ferrari, done so well with Catriona,
See, come on.
so good.
We're just
And
telling you basically not to watch Rush or F1 and just watch Ford v Ferrari. That's what
yeah,
we're doing here today,
I mean,
kids.
watch F1, but then watch Ford v
Yeah.
Ferrari.
And don't forget to watch Days of Thunder. I'm just giving
Yeah.
you like my favorites. Like don't forget.
I don't remember Days of Thunder that well, but I do remember at King's Dominion in Virginia, they had a Days of Thunder ride. And I
Yes.
I remember, I think it was Richard Petty doing the intro to the Days of Thunder ride. And I wonder
So
I wonder if that's still a thing in a
I
in a
had there
ride.
was one 3D ride at our like theme park and you got to sit in those like moving chairs for Days of Thunder. And it was like 4DX, so it was like
Mhm.
right in your face, and then you had to put the seatbelt on and like the
Oh,
seat would
it's
like
gone.
rev and everything.
It's gone. It looks like
No.
2012. That's too bad because that
That
was really
sucks.
fun. He, they have this rivalry, and and then it goes into their personal life. And Laura, he says, happiness is the enemy. It puts doubts in your mind, which was an interesting moment because it is true. Like it would make you like
Yeah.
less. It would happiness would make you more risk averse,
Yes,
and
it's
that's a
true.
theme of this movie is that basically like you it's not a question of when you'll be in a high risk death defying situation. It's not a question of if you'll be in a high risk death defying situation. It's a matter of when. I mean,
Yeah.
every time you're on that thing, you could die and may die.
Like that's a big deal.
Yeah. So that would make more sense if you had like a family. You'd be more hesitant
Yeah.
to risk that. And so, it makes some degree of sense. But then the so then Hunt gets disqualified, and then because the car is too wide or something like that. And so then he spirals, he ends up getting divorced, and he can't get a car, he's drinking, he's fighting, it's kind of a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Lauda at the same time he gets married, and I was feeling that I was like there's not that much racing in this movie.
It was
Long
dragging.
stretches. Long
It was
stretches.
dragging where I was like, oh, this is gonna be a long, and it's a little over
More
2
racing.
hours too. I'm
Yeah.
like, ugh, it's a lot.
Um and but then the disqualification gets overturned, and then this is when Lauda gets in the horrible crash. He gets horrible burns, third-degree burns. And they did do an excellent job with the makeup
Oh
for that.
yeah.
It is surprising that this movie got completely snubbed at the Oscars. You think that it would have at least gotten a sound nomination and a makeup.
Yeah, I can agree with that for sure.
They really make a convincing burn victim out of Daniel.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
It was hard. It was hard to watch. It was difficult.
Yeah. I feel like Daniel Rule is better at playing kind of the jerk. He's kind of better at
He's
playing a
so
little.
good.
Yeah, there's something about him that I don't. I think it's a little bit hard for me to buy him as the more sympathetic lead kind of character,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
agree. I just think he
But
has that like arrogance. He's
yeah,
so
and
good at it. Like, I don't know.
yeah, like I think I would have. I mean, and granted, this character is a more complex character, so I guess it works. He's very good, but he doesn't have that like leading man star appeal, like obviously the Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise
He
or
doesn't.
Leonardo DiCaprio or
Yeah.
somebody like that like has the it factor, which this guy doesn't have.
Unfortunately, he doesn't have it. Well,
No.
Chris Hemsworth kind of stole that from him. But I also
Yeah.
I don't think Hemsworth actually has it either. But
I like Chris Hemsworth better when he's allowed to be funny because he can be very funny,
he's hilarious. I just don't think he's
really
a
funny.
strong dramatic actor.
No, and so like this didn't lean into his strengths.
Mm.
My least favorite Chris Hemsworth movie is it was also directed by Ron Howard was that In the Heart of the Sea.
I never
Oh, that was
watched it.
terrible. That
I
was
believe it.
terrible. Terrible, terrible. But
Believe it.
and it's not really his fault, but I just really disliked that movie. Oh, that was bad.
Fair.
But yeah, he's good in this, but just just doesn't have the it factor. It just doesn't
It comes down to
fit
that. It's
in
true.
this movie. In other movies he has, I think, gotten it is Thor. And he was so skinny in this movie. It was only 2 years after Thor, the
Yeah,
first
the first
Thor.
one. And he had the worst haircut. I hated this hair on him
Okay.
because I don't know why. It just looks so like flat on him. It's like he has never washed his hair.
Yeah.
It just bothered me. Because like in other Thor movies, he has this, like, I know it's like a wig half the time, but like even for press tours, like he looks so good. But this, like,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah, I agree.
bothered me.
But they have like a believable sort of rivalry slash chemistry. I think one of the
Mhm.
best scenes in the movie is when he beats up that reporter for asking about his face.
Excellent scene.
Yeah, that's a really
Excellent.
good scene.
Because it's small things like that that, okay, he actually cares about him,
Well, and it's such a
you
rude
know?
question. This reporter saying, "Do you
Yeah.
really think your marriage can survive the way you look?" Like
Like it's
how
just
horrible. Like to
horrendous
even
question.
believe that like that anybody else's marriage is so weak, like that
Hmm.
that you getting third degree burns that you would leave the other person. Like I get the trauma can cause problems in marriages, but like
Yeah.
that he and his wife would be so superficial that like they're related. Like that's just a horrible question, like awful
Yeah. The
to
media is
ask.
terrible.
And so when he beats up, that was a good moment. And then the two make it back to the big race. They wave at each other, but this race is like in the rain in Japan,
Yeah.
and he's upset because this is dangerous conditions. It should have been canceled. So he's upset. Lauda, he drops out because of the rain, and then Hunt ends up winning.
Hmm.
And Lauda sees him celebrating. Hunt's living it up, and he says the risks were unacceptable. And then Hunt says, I was prepared to die that day. And then they get all like, stop treating it as a curse. You've been given an enemy in your life.
Yeah.
So that having somebody to push him was actually a big benefit in his
Yeah.
life.
That's
And
true.
and he tries to convince Hunt to keep racing after this victory. He says, don't let me down. I need you busting my balls. And no, for Hunt, one world title was an improve was all that he needed. He died at 45 of a heart attack. And so I think that they were really constricted with how much of a sports movie they could make it, because it just doesn't have that payoff that you want
It doesn't.
as somebody essentially giving up with one win.
Yeah, you're right, actually. It's like, okay, he could have raced
Yeah.
so much more. It just felt like even like the voiceovers at the beginning to bookend at the end as well. I was just like,
Yeah.
it feels off. Like I know you want to know the thought process of these characters, but it's like it felt
So I
weird.
think it works as like a friendship story,
Yeah.
but I don't think it really works as a racing movie per se, or certainly
No.
an underdog sports movie.
Yeah, it
So
doesn't.
the two movies actually really don't have that much in common. So that was surprising to me, and very interesting. But I give both, for me, I I would give probably Rush. I'd probably give it 3.5 out of 5 stars.
I was sitting at a 3 for it.
Yeah,
I gave
three and a
F1
half.
and Rush the exact same. I
Mm.
did. It was interesting.
So if you gave it a 3, would
Yeah.
you wouldn't be fresh if you were on Rotten Tomatoes, would you? For F1?
That's hard to say, actually. I think I enjoyed F1 more than Rush, but I probably would go fresh on F1 and not fresh on Rush.
Oh, not fresh,
Yeah.
huh?
I don't know why. I just think Rush,
Interesting.
it took a lot to get going, and
Yeah.
it was up until the accident. I was like, oh, the accident happened and now I'm interested. And that's like a long way into the movie. Like like the pacing
Yeah,
is
no,
not
that's
strong.
true.
Yeah.
That's true. And I just kept hoping they would use the races more. Like I think it's one of those
Yeah.
things I wanted it to be something that it's just not,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. It's like, oh, but I want more of this. I want more of that. Like when you walk out of a movie and you're like, I could, like, you're rewriting it. That's when you know you're like, oh man, like
Yeah.
it's not a vibe. That's what happened with like F1 with me. I was like, oh, but they could have done like so much more
Huh. So you would be
transactions.
fresh on it, on F1. That's
I'd be
interesting.
fresh on F1 by like a
That's
smidge.
the interesting thing about the whole Rotten Tomatoes thing, is that people will see, oh, you went rotten on something, oh, you hated it. Like, no.
It's like,
Oftentimes my feelings are pretty similar between something, say, that I've given 2.5 stars versus something I've given 3 stars for. I'm pretty
yeah.
close on one. It's just like, does it lean negative, lean positive?
That's the thing, right?
It's
It
hard
comes down to
sometimes.
that. It's true.
It's really hard. So anyway, it is what it is. But we'd like to hear what you think about both these movies. Where are you at on them? I'd love to hear your opinion and put in the comment section. And next month, let's see what we have for next month.
What is it next month?
So next month we have The Bell, Book, and Candle. This
Ooh,
stars Jimmy Stewart.
I'm excited.
Yeah, so that one should be fun. I have never seen this one, but I heard it talked about a lot because it was the name of on the Good Witch on Hallmark Channel. The Cassie, the lead character, her store is called the Bell, Book, and Candle.
That's right. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, so that'll be
Yeah.
fun. That'll be fun to finally see that. So there we go. That is our thoughts on Rush and on F1. Again, let us know what you think and make sure you check out all of our episodes. We do quite a variety, I think, of movies that we pick each month. So definitely check that out. And Manda, where can people find you?
Yeah, you guys can always follow me over at AMXND Reviews on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can check out my Instagram at Amanda Guaraggi, and you can check out my website, candidxcinema.com.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also check out the Hallmarkies podcast for everything got going on over there. If you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really, really helps us a lot. It helps the algorithm to find us more. The more 5-star reviews that we have on iTunes, please. And also, if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We're getting closer and closer to 5K subscribers. That would be so exciting. So please subscribe. And make sure to check out the merch store. We have a lot of fun designs over there. And the Patreon. That's the biggest way you can support everything that I'm doing. And you get to be part of our monthly watch-alongs, Q&As with talent. You get to have bonus episodes, extra episodes, early episodes. I really try to make it worth your while to join the Patreon. So please check that out. And yeah, super fun. And we'll talk to y'all later.